What makes a hero? Is it his actions or his intentions? I think Bolale Austen-Peters' new movie release, House of God, explores this question. Hi guys, you are welcome to another episode of Relufe Review, a show where we objectively review the Nigerian art, music, movies, and entertainment in general. Of course, like I always say, please note, before I forge ahead, please note that all the views and opinions that I express here are all mine. They're my personal biases. They're not based on any standard or any measures. On that note, of course, you know my name is AY with the double O, and let's get right into the movie for today. The movie we are going to be reviewing today needs no further introduction. It is Bolale Austen-Peters' House of God. And to be very honest, when I heard House of God, what came to my head was when I saw the poster, I saw Femi Branch and his wives, and I thought it was going to be about drama, chaos between Basharonga and his fleet of wives. But turns out it was the story of Basharonga, and of course with some elements of fiction, romantic subplots, and all that. So Bolale Austen-Peters directed House of God, and it was a novel originally written by Pa Adebayo Faleti, and of course in 2004 they shot a movie Basharonga, which of course I had known before. That was my introduction to the story of God and how I knew Basharonga. But in 2024, fast forward to Bolale Austen-Peters, she brought House of God, and then I would have thought the name of that person that time was Basharonga, but turns out Basharonga is a different, it's a title, and the name of that particular Basharonga was Ga, and it was the most powerful Basharonga. So the Basharonga is more like a chief or a prominent ruler, more like a prime minister as at then, because he was a very influential, person in Oyo Kingdom and all of that. So House of God is a dramatic, it's non-fiction, but of course it has some elements of fiction, which is why this is a bit different from the original story of the Basharonga that we watched. Of course, if you've seen it, as at then in 2004, Pa Adebayo Faleti had Basharonga, but Bolale Austen-Peters came back in 2004 with House of God. Now, House of God tells the story of a very despotic chief in the Oyo Kingdom. He became a Basharon because he was a good man. Of course, he had fought victories for the Oyo Kingdom, and then he was given the title of Basharon. Now, Basharon started to it became power drunk. That movie shows it shows how ambitious. It was a very ambitious man, by the way, but at the same time what the movie failed to show us was who Ga was before he became a Basharon. Who Ga was before he became a Basharon, but we didn't need that part. All we wanted to know was Ga as a Basharon, and which was what they showed us in the movie. Now, for the plot of the story, it shows the rise and fall of Basharon Ga, and the movie started with the Orun Festival and also kind of ended with the Orun Festival, which was, a very interesting part. It was an attraction for me in that movie, and it shows how he overthrown the Alaafins, because at a point, Basharonga became the one who would decide who the Alaafin was, because he wanted them to, live on his terms. He wanted them to rule on his own terms, and of course, he met his own Waterloo at the end of the movie. And of course, I liked the twist in it because there was a narration part, and it was interesting that his son, who was the direct opposite, he was opposite of Ga. Ga was a wicked man and all that, but his son was, even fell in love. There was no part in that movie that showed us that Ga was even romantic. I think he just had fleets of wives because, of course, he felt like he could have as many wives as he wanted. And of course, it was also interesting to see that his son was narrating, the story and all that. And then towards the end of the movie, of course, what happened to Ga happened to Ga. It was similar to what happened to Ga initially in the story of Basharonga in 2004. But now there's a twist to it, some romantic subplots and all of that, elements of that, which also added some bit of attraction to the movie. Now, while I would say that I'm not very sure about the costumes and some other parts of the movie, this is a must-watch for everybody. This is a very interesting watch. Overall, the movie highlights the dangers of unchecked power and the lack of accountability in leadership, because if Basharon was accountable to somebody, he wasn't even accountable to the Alaafin. Of course, ordinarily that's not what you're supposed to do. Now you feel of course, it wasn't just a natural cause. I found out that because he was powerful, it was also, of course, he had charms and all that fortified. That was what gave him that confidence that he had to, do a lot of things that he did in the movie. So with that being said, I'll just go straight to the rating criteria of this movie. For the plot of the movie, I would say that the plot has some elements of fiction. It's quite engaging. It's a beautiful story. It shows us the rise and the fall of Basharu, and it was just straight to the point. Like, we knew what was going to, there was there was suspense, a little bit of suspense, which was also good as well. But the plot was, it wasn't, we were not lost at any point. I understood from start to finish, though there are some unanswered questions. For the plot, I'll give it 8 over 10. It was good. While there was some elements of fiction, it remained true to the era. They didn't give us a 2024 movie that happened, or a 2024 representation of something that happened, in the 18th century, which was good. They remained true to the era that it actually happened, showing us the rise and fall of Basharu. With some elements of fiction, it only made it more interesting. There's some questions are unanswered, some things were left unsaid. But for the plot of the story, I'll give it a good 8 over 10. The movie is quite entertaining, if you ask me. I mean, it's something you want to sit with from start to finish. I didn't get up until I was done, but of course, it's a very interesting watch. I did not like, however, that it did not show us some parts of the movie, such as some, battle scenes. We saw that in the first scene, but I wanted to see more of those mesmerizing battles. How Gao was indeed powerful, apart from using charms and voodoo and all that. I wanted to see the physical part where Gao himself did fight was. They didn't show us enough of that. But of course, the lighting, the costume was good. It was well. They sent that, like, it was well. They sent it to us well. They sent the signal. We got the signal, basically. So for the attraction of the movie, I'll give it a 7 over 10. Now, for the theme of the movie, the theme explores corruption, unchecked ambition, which was what we saw with Basharuga, and we saw that also for the theme of the movie. These themes were explored in who Gao was, and at a point I'm like, it seemed not real, but if you check the original story, that's exactly what Gao was. And I'm wondering, like, if I was there, present in that time, how would one person act like this, or how would you let one person just get away with this? At the point, I was waiting for who was going to be the savior, like who would finally, because of course, there's no one is too powerful. There's just somebody better out there, better than you, or someone that can actually bring you down, which we actually saw. We saw the downfall, but I think it took too long, anyways. But they explored the theme of corruption and, of course, unchecked ambition. So I'll give that a good 8.5 over 10. For the acting of the movie, strong performances, A-list actors, Femi Branch. When I saw the A-list actors in my mind, like, how the person that directed this movie, the producer, how do you pay all of these people in one movie? Like, you must be doing some money laundering somewhere. A-list actors, trust me, Femi Branch, Funke Akindele, and it was also good to see Funke and Tony Ajayemi play a role together. It's been a minute, so Femi Branch, of course, came out of his shell. I would say that for the longest, I've never seen Femi Branch play a role like that before. It was new, but apart from the fact that it was new, if I'm just going to judge him based off and I don't know him, I don't know any of the roles he has played before, he delivered, he killed the role. It was beautiful, it was exceptional. And Funke Akindele, being his wife, also added a little bit of comic relief to the movie. Now, I'll say that for the characters, some characters they didn't explore the part that they were supposed to. Because we didn't know who the mother of Basharunga's sons were. They didn't have a relationship with the mother, so there was a little bit of distraction there. I feel like they were not really, the focus was too much on Ga at some point, and it seemed like Ga was being selfish. I don't know how to put it. His character was a very selfish character because he took away he took the shine in the movie. At the point it was just solely on Ga, and I'm like, what happened to the others? You're not really exploring their characters. But for the acting of the movie, it was good. I'll give it 8.5 over 10. For the dialogue of the movie, it conveys the context of the story, and I would say that for some characters, I didn't really understand what they were doing with their Yoruba. Example for Bam Bam, even for Prince Olauton. For some parts of they were not really flowing with the Yoruba. And I think that in this is 2024. I mean, you're not short of characters. There's so many people out there that can act, that can speak Yoruba. And for an indigenous movie like that, I feel like they should have gone for people who could, speak Yoruba the way that it would have been spoken at the time. There are so many actors that can do that. Yoruba actors are there. They could have gone for that with their casting choice. So for the dialogue part, some conversations were not really flowing. It wasn't giving that indigenous vibe. It wasn't giving me that, extra energy. And they didn't give us some idioms in Yoruba, like some of those things. All of that would add the extra thing to the movie. I didn't really see that in the dialogue of the movie. So for the dialogue, I'll give it a 7/10. For the cinematography of the movie, it takes us back to that ancient era, the lighting, the setting, the costumes. I'm not very sure about the costume of Gaz warlords. It was giving me more of another culture's, another tribe's outfit than that Yoruba thing. I would have loved them to see. That's why I said God took the shine of that movie, because from start of the movie to the finish of the movie, God's costumes were lit. It was giving that, and I'm like, what's with this God thing? It was more like the shine was just on Gar, more like the focus was on Gar, and his costumes were killing us from start to finish of the movie. But for his warlords, I wasn't really feeling the costumes, but the set design was good, the lighting, the costumes for other characters was good. I liked, the wife's costumes, but I wasn't really sure about the warlord's costume. But for every other thing, for the cinematography was good. So I'll give it a good 8/10 for the cinematography of the movie. For the editing of the movie, which is the pacing and the effect of the movie, is well balanced. Of course, there was no plot diversion here and there. It was straight, it was straightforward. There was no scene that was unnecessarily dragged. The scenes were well choreographed, if you ask me. But for the special effects, I think the part where the Alafin had to send an arrow to Majigbe, who was the king, the Alaafin that later brought him down, and finally he met his Waterloo, because the Alaafin Majigbe had a charm. It was more like a fortification that would allow for anyone that wants to harm you to also be harmed. So if the person is trying to harm you, even if it works, they will be harmed as well. But Basharangan knew the implication of what he wanted to do before he did it. So for that arrow thing and the throwing thing, that special effect didn't really work. But I'll say it was also good. It was not so bad. So for the editing of the movie, I'll give it a 7.5/10. For the soundtrack of the movie, it complemented the atmosphere of the movie. It was good, but it did not bust my bubbles. BAP, I'm sorry. It wasn't exceptional. It wasn't memorable. For some movies, I'm not doing no comparison. No, I'm not doing that. For some movies, you watch them and the soundtrack just stays in your head. Like you'll be humming and doing that. But this one it didn't really stick. I can't remember any song from it. I can't even make any sound of that movie. That's how good it was. But I mean, it was okay. It went with the flow of the movie, with the atmosphere and all that, but it wasn't memorable. So for the soundtrack, I'll give it a 6/10 for the soundtrack. For the directing of the movie, trust Bolanle Austen-Peters to bring that story to life. It's as if she woke the dead, She brought it to life. It was interesting. She didn't give us what we had seen before. Sort of. It was something else. The fact that you even think outside of the box to add some elements of fiction into what's supposed to be non-fiction only shows how exceptional you are. So Bolanle Austen-Peters is an exceptional director. She brought the story to life. Yes, more like she gave me what I wanted. I don't know about you, but I mean, it was a very good. It was a good directing. It was a good job. Good job, well done for the directing. I'll give it a 9/10, just because I want to hold on that one mark. Overall, for the it factor, I'd say that the it factor captured the essence of Yoruba culture. It took us back to that era when it indeed happened. And that's one thing that I'd say that even though it didn't really give me the 100% Yoruba indigenous thing that I would probably have wanted, but of course, it is a good movie. It's a must-see. Of course, the it factor, it's a it movie. It's a one-of-a-kind movie. Of course, we're talking Basharonga, we're talking Ga, we're talking a prominent chief in Yoruba land. You would want to watch it. For the it factor, factor, I'll give it a good 9 over 10 for the it factor. So overall, House of Gar from this end gets a 7.5 over 10. It's a must-see movie. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't want to watch it, you have to watch it. It's a must-watch. You just have to watch it. House of Gar is a must-watch for everybody that wants to see House of Gar. Even if you don't want to see it, for the mere fact that if you're Yoruba, okay, let me be tribalistic. I'm not allowed to do that. If you're Yoruba, you should see House of Gar if you've not seen it. It's a Netflix movie. Get a Netflix subscription, watch the movie, and enjoy it. And if you agree or you disagree with my final verdict, do let me know in the comment section. If you've watched it as well and you're watching this review and you want to drop comments and you do not agree with some things that I've said about the movie, also drop it in the comment box. And if you have any movie whatsoever that you would like for us to review here on Relufe TV channel, drop it as well in the comment box. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share. If you're watching this video, click on that subscribe button, of course, to get more videos from Relufe TV. With this, we've come to the end of another episode of Relufe Review on Relufe TV. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, of course, follow across all social media platforms. It is at Relufe TV. Until I come your way again next time on another episode, my name is AY with a double O.